Chelsea years under Mourinho, there was a peak of, I think, 61 players across the whole African
Those are the ones who identify and nationalise as their African country, innit?
Yeah, facts.
So obviously you got the Englishmen in disguise and not in disguise, but you know what I mean.
Every French player. No, honestly though, all the French players, like if they were to go from their actual country.
So if the ones that actually went to their home nation, then that number will probably double.
Yeah, because if you think about Saka's English, but obviously that's what we're talking about.
If you think about all the ones on it, well, actually, nah, that's different league anyway. I was thinking about champ, but
still, a lot of the black English players.
Yeah.
That are other than Sterling, but obviously Sterling's actually Jamaican. You could go through the team like Tomori, Nigerian. Yeah. There's a lot of players, even though he's in AC Milan, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, you can say Saka.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There's a lot of them that just don't.
He said Saka. You weren't listening.
Oh,
that was the first.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
But there's a lot of them that just don't literally. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
But there's loads that just don't have obviously their English. They're English by, that's the nationality for football. But their parents' nationality obviously is from there.
I do get like certain things to an extent when like if a African heritage player picks England.
Of course, that makes
you've
it.
been through the ranks and it's kind of seen as
it's familiar to you, isn't it?
Exactly, the pinnacle, especially if you're born and raised, grew up here, everything. Like just for argument's sake, if I was kicking ball, that would probably have been my path. If that or the path that I was trying to achieve, innit?
It's everyone's first option.
Exactly, but now like
you can see why, like
100%, 100%. Like when I was coming up, it was okay. I want to play for England, and then it's okay, cool. I'm not going to play for England, so it's Ghana and Grenada. You get what I mean? It's then you look at where else you can play for.
Yeah,
but it's only, you don't do that. Like people are waiting still till like they hit 24, 25, and they're like, should I not? Because you never know. And then you eventually just make the decision and it's either good or bad for you.
Yeah, it's because obviously like the reason why I might come across passionate about this, but like as I know Sierra Leone's starting to slightly get better and stuff like that, I'll be like, which Sierra Leone is playing? Because we're a smaller country, I'll be like, who's playing where, what leagues, etc. I'll be like to my cousin, have you spoke to him before, blah, 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 etc. And I think I remember asking you about like Grenadian players across the leagues and stuff like that in Europe. And you were like, I've been in contact with certain man. And I was like, raw. Didn't even know this, innit?
Yeah.
You get me? But like, I just feel more players should start to play for their home nations. It's not easy. Like, don't get me wrong.
There's definitely some challenges when it comes to dealing with those nations as well.
And like I said,
big challenges.
Yeah, completely understand.
No, honestly.
If you feel like,
and it's challenges that you wouldn't even think were challenges before until you had these problems.
But
it's non-football related.
Yeah, but that's because of the
best way to
system
put
as
it.
well.
Best way to put it.
Yeah, because you've grown up through the English system, the English footballing system, or European or whatever, and then you're like, okay, especially if you're in the England ranks from early. Once England snap you up at kid age or whatever like that, that's just going to be your path, more or less. So you understand in terms of those aspects. But yeah, no, like I was saying, whilst I was watching that show, I was just learning quite a lot, and just because they interviewed like a lot of like the ex-players, ex-African players, and even like the managers and other teammates and stuff like that. And just listening to Sam Allardyce speak about Okocha, for instance, and like the reason he was saying, and there's something, because it was quite early on into like when we were younger and stuff like that, he was saying like when Okocha first came, the adjustment period, he just couldn't somewhat hack how intense the Prem was, so he'd have to take him off early in a lot of games. But then he said once he clocked it, he said he was basically the African Beckham, innit? Yeah. And I was like, do you know what? I hear it, innit? And yeah, it was actually, I recommend you to watching it if you haven't. But seeing like some statistics, I think from November just gone, it reached to the point where it's now 400 African players have played in the Premier League. And there's, from that period on as well, I believe about 30 to 33 countries that have been represented now in the Premier League and stuff like that. And just like the top 3 countries are like Nigeria, Senegal, and then Ivory Coast in terms of like the players that have played.
Makes sense.
And this just goes back to, in terms of like the coverage how big the Premier League is marketed in Africa anyway.
Oh, 100%.
You go back home to any country.
You see the shirts.
That's what they watch.
Yeah.
It's Prem.
Exactly.